Imagine this. You wake up in the morning. No horrific blare of an alarm clock. No harsh glare of a smartphone screen filled with dozens of missed notifications from work group chats. You have no 9-to-5 job, no mortgage, no utility bills, no car loans, and most importantly, no money at all. No paper cash in a wallet, no shiny coins, no numbers on a bank account. Question, what do you actually do all day? Sit in a dark cave, wrap yourself in a scratchy animal hide, and stare blankly at a fire going insane from boredom, or run away from a saber-toothed tiger continuously from dawn to dusk. We are used to thinking that human life before the invention of the financial system was an endless bloody nightmare and an inhumane struggle for survival. Hollywood movies and old-school textbooks have conditioned us to picture a caveman, perpetually dirty, half-starved, waking up at dawn to chase a mammoth for 18 hours straight until collapsing into the mud from sheer exhaustion. But what if I told you that all of this is a complete myth? Modern anthropologists, archaeologists, and historians proved long ago that reality was entirely different. Life before money was so wild, strange, and yet surprisingly harmonious that a modern office worker, burnt out from working 3 jobs, would either lose their mind from shock at such a routine or stay there forever. Forget the fairy tales and stereotypes. Today, we will reconstruct in full detail the complete daily routine of an ancient human before humanity invented the primary engine of the global economy and the main cause of our daily stress, money. Part 1. The myth of endless labor. How much did people actually work in the Stone Age? The greatest illusion of the 21st century is the belief that progress has made us freer, while ancient humans slaved away around the clock just to avoid starving to death. In reality, the exact opposite is true. A primitive hunter-gatherer had far more leisure time than any modern top manager or freelancer. In the 1960s, renowned American anthropologist Marshall Solins sparked a real revolution in academia. He coined the term the original Affluent Society. Based on extensive studies of surviving Stone Age tribes, such as the Hadza of Tanzania or the San people of the Kalahari, scientists uncovered shocking statistics. Procuring food, crafting tools, and arranging shelter took ancient humans only 3 to 5 hours a day. All the remaining time belonged to pure, unadulterated leisure: sleep, games, social bonding, art, and relaxation. Why was this the case? It is remarkably simple. Ancient humans did not work for the future. They had no refrigerator to freeze half a ton of meat. They had no warehouses to store tons of grain. If you kill too much game, it simply rots in the heat within a couple of days. Therefore, the very concept of working more to accumulate more did not exist in the ancient mind. As soon as the basic needs for the current day were met, that was it. The work shift was officially over. No overtime, no extra shifts, and no burnout. Part 2. Morning block. Hunting, gathering, and the priceless economy. So, dawn arrives. A bed of straw inside a cave or a temporary shelter, birds singing, the sun rising over the savannah. How does the morning begin for someone in the pre-money era? There is no breakfast in the conventional sense because opening a fridge door to grab cheese and sausage is impossible. To eat in the morning, you first have to step out into the world and forage or hunt for that breakfast. But instead of going to a job, selling your time for a paycheck, and then using that money to buy food at a supermarket, an ancient human went directly after the resources. Gathering. The true foundation of life. Contrary to cinematic stereotypes about brutal men wielding clubs, up to 70–80% of a tribe's entire diet consisted of plant foods. Most of the group participated in this: women, children, and the elderly. However, do not picture this as agonizing, backbreaking labor on a plantation. Stepping into the forest or savanna to gather wild apples, roots, nuts, berries, and mushrooms looked more like a calm, unhurried walk with friends in the fresh air. People strolled, chatted, gossiped, caught up on tribal news, taught children how to spot animal tracks and poisonous plants, and casually filled their bellies and woven bags with fresh food along the way. Hunting, high thrill, team sport, and high-risk men set out after large game. But hunting did not happen every single day. It was a risky, energy-intensive endeavor that required tracking, tactical calculation, and flawless teamwork. Hunters could walk dozens of kilometers, sit silently in an ambush for hours to track a deer or an antelope, and then execute a coordinated drive. And here, a fundamental economic question arises. If there was no money, no price tags, and no registers, how did they divide the kill? In hunter-gatherer societies, a fundamentally different economic mechanism operated, what scholars scholars call generalized reciprocity, or a gift economy. If you and your hunting party brought down a large animal, you did not sell the meat to your tribe mates for shells or favors, you simply gave it away, all of it. Why? For two purely pragmatic reasons. The meat would spoil in 48 hours anyway. You could never consume it all alone. Today you got lucky and fed the tribe. Tomorrow you might return empty-handed, but you will eat the meat brought back by your neighbor. Meat in the Stone Age was not a commodity. It was a social deposit. The more you gave away today, the deeper the social debt the tribe owed you tomorrow. Social capital and the respect of your peers were thousands of times more valuable than any gold bar. Part 3. Afternoon. Block. High technology made of sticks, bones, and stones. Once food requirements for the current day were satisfied, it was time for high-tech manufacturing. The Stone Age is not named so because people were as dumb as rocks, but because stone was their primary, most advanced, and most complex material. Making tools consumed a major portion of the day. Try picking up 2 ordinary stones right now and making a razor-sharp knife capable of easily skinning a wild boar. You will fail. The stone will simply shatter into useless pieces. Crafting a good flint knife, a spearhead, a scraper, or a hand axe is a mastercraft that required surgical precision, an understanding of mineral structures, and months of practice. One wrong strike with a bone hammerstone, and a blank you spent half a day preparing turns into useless gravel. In the afternoon, people sat together in the shade of trees or near cave entrances to manufacture goods, chipping and polishing stone axes, processing animal hides, turning them into soft clothing using fats and scrapers, weaving durable ropes and snares from animal sinews and tendons, shaping primitive pottery and carving needles out of bird bones. Every tribe member was a complete universal specialist. An ancient human was their own builder, tailor, weaponsmith, healer, hunter, and cook. Henry Ford's assembly line did not exist yet, and the division of labor was only beginning to emerge. So every single object was made entirely by hand, tailored individually, and valued immensely. Part 4. The transition to barter. How did people trade before money? Millennia passed. The era of hunter-gatherers gave way to the Neolithic Revolution, the period when humans learned to domesticate animals and cultivate crops. From this moment on, humanity possessed surpluses for the very first time. One tribe lived near a river and had tons of grain, another tribe lived in the mountains and quarried high-quality flint, and a third raised sheep. This is where direct exchange, or barter, enters the stage. However, barter in its pure form is an exceptionally complex, inconvenient, and agonizing process. Modern economics defines this as the problem of the double coincidence of wants. Picture the scenario. You have made a fine clay pot, but you urgently need a cow. You walk up to a cow owner and offer a trade. They reply, "I don't need your pottery, I need a stone axe." And just like that, the deal falls through. Now you have to find someone with an extra axe, figure out what they need, trade your pot for that item, exchange that item for the axe, and only then return to buy the cow. This consumed an immense amount of time, patience, and energy. Trading in ancient marketplaces was a noisy, chaotic, highly emotional negotiation process, where parties could spend an entire day arguing over how many pots of grain a single sheep was worth. Because of this inefficiency, over time, people began selecting specific, highly sought-after goods that everyone needed to serve as proto-money: livestock, bulls, cows, sheep, a universal measure of wealth across many cultures. Cowrie shells valued for their rarity, shape, and durability. Sacks of salt or grain, necessities required by everyone to survive. Cocoa beans or rare bird feathers. Yet thousands of years remained before the arrival of minted metal coins. Part 5. Evening Block. Social networks of the Stone Age. What did ancient humans do when the sun went down, darkness set in, and hunting became impossible? Fire was the absolute core of all human civilization. An evening gathered around the campfire was the direct equivalent of our modern internet, television, movie theaters, and social media platforms combined. 1. Storytelling and the creation of mythology tribe elders passed down accumulated wisdom to the younger generation. How do you survive a harsh winter? Which berries cure food poisoning and which ones kill in 5 minutes? Which beast should you never hunt alone? To keep this vital knowledge alive, it was woven into captivating tales, legends, songs, and myths about ancestral spirits and legendary hunters. 2. Rituals. Cave art and dancing people ventured deep into caves, applied ochre and charcoal to the walls to depict animals, danced to the rhythmic drumming of handmade instruments, and performed complex rites of passage for adolescence. These were not mere entertainment. They reinforced tribal identity, released psychological tension, and instilled faith in tomorrow. 3. grooming, and social bonding. Much like other primates, Stone Age humans dedicated vast amounts of time to physical contact. They groomed one another, braided hair, and applied body paint and tattoos. This served as a vital tool for building trust within the group. Since people had no concept of a work schedule or weekends, the boundary between labor, rest, creativity, and social interaction was completely blurred. All of life flowed in a single natural rhythm. Part 6. Where did it all go, and what was the cost of progress? The invention of money and the financial system fundamentally reshaped human nature and our entire way of life. Money undoubtedly sparked a monumental leap forward. It simplified trade, accelerated scientific progress, enabled the building of massive cities, connected continents, and birthed empires. Yet, humanity paid a colossal price for this progress. As soon as the concept of capital accumulation took root, humans stopped stopping once they secured food for the day. Greed, economic inequality, slavery, debt, taxation, and the 8-hour or 16-hour workday emerged. An ancient human knew nothing of exchange rates, inflation, devaluation, mortgage rates, or financial crises. Their primary capital lay not in numbers on a screen or coins in a pouch, but in real survival skills, physical resilience, and the absolute loyalty of their tribe.